Hey everybody, it's Brian Lee here, owner of BT Lee's Sauces and Rubs and contestant on the Great American Recipe Season 1. Today we're cooking the entree for the finale. It's going to be a coffee rubbed pork tenderloin with a red-eye gravy pan reduction and a Kansas City barbecue sauce, topped with a Hungarian style quick pickle, served on a bed of white cheddar grits. Say that 5 times fast. I hope you enjoy this. This was a hell of a lot of fun to make.
So let's start with the marinade. So first things first, you want that brightness. 1/4 cup red wine vinegar. We're gonna add 1 tablespoon of sorghum to that. If you can't find sorghum, molasses will do. Just make sure it's blackstrap. You really want that depth of flavor. Get all that stuff off the spatula, and then to that we have 1 tablespoon of espresso powder, 2 teaspoons of smoked salt and cocoa powder, 1 teaspoon of ancho chili powder, and 1/8 of a teaspoon of ground coriander and ground nutmeg. Whisk this to combine. To that, we're going to slow drizzle about 1/4 of a cup of olive oil in there to emulsify. This will create the marinade for our pork. So we've got 1 pork tenderloin here. It's medium size. I'm puncturing this so the marinade can penetrate. I'm doing this on both sides. If you're gonna let your marinade sit for a longer period of time, you don't necessarily need to do this, but this is a 1-hour marinade. So we threw this pork tenderloin in the bag and we pour the marinade over top of it. I like to do the squeeze out method to make sure a maximum contact of that marinade on that pork tenderloin. And as always, put it in a bowl. Refrigerate it for at least an hour, up to 24 hours. Let's pickle some peppers and onions. I'm calling this a Hungarian quick pickle because I'm using Hungarian hots. So we got 1 cup of water, 1 cup of apple cider vinegar, 1 teaspoon of white sugar, 1 teaspoon of black peppercorn, 1 teaspoon of dried oregano, and 1 teaspoon of smoked salt. We're gonna mix that to combine, bring that to a boil, reduce it down to a simmer, and add our red onion and Hungarian hot peppers in there. I love the flavor of this. It's bright, it's acidic, you get that spiciness from the Hungarian peppers. Set it aside to chill. It's time to sear and roast this pork. So I'm adding olive oil to this pan, and then I'm gonna add a little bit of butter. That's gonna raise the smoke point on the butter. It's about medium high right now. We're adding the pork tenderloin that's been refrigerated and marinating for a while. I'm just searing it on all sides. I'm trying to build a flavor base for the pan sauce that's coming on this. So we kind of want a little bit of stickage on the bottom of that. And then that's going to go in the oven. And once it comes out, you've got something that looks a lot like this. We're going to use the exact same pan. We're going to whisk to remove all that fond from the bottom of it. We're going to add 1 cup of black coffee. This is a Redeye style sauce, so it is a little bitter. It is a little salty, and there's a lot of depth of flavor that comes off this sauce. Once you've got all the fond mixed up into that coffee, we're going to add the remainder of the marinade to the pan and whisk to combine. And we're also going to add about 1 tablespoon of brown sugar to smooth it out a little bit. That'll also helping it thicken. We are going to reduce this down until it is a nice glaze like that. It's going to look a little unctuous. It's going to be shiny. It's going to be really concentrated flavor. It's going to really pop on that pork. Man, that's a good sauce. It's time to make some grits. Man, I love grits. So to a pot, we are going to add 4 ounces of butter. I use unsalted because I like to control the salt on this dish. We're going to let it melt until it's foamy. Thereabouts. I think I got a little impatient here, and I added my 1/2 cup of diced onion early. But you know, the end game is still going to be the same. You're going to cook the onions until they're translucent. To those onions, you're going to add the garlic next. 3 cloves minced. You want that flavor in there. You want to add it after the onions so it doesn't burn. And then to that, we're going to add the chilies. In this case, we've got 1 can of green chilies, and we've got 1 can of diced jalapenos. Now, I used a can here because I kind of wanted the uniformity of it. and I kind of really love the pickled flavor that happens on that. So we're gonna let that cook down for a hot minute here until they're translucent, and then we're gonna hit it with 1 teaspoon of white vinegar. You're gonna get a facial on this one. It's gonna be a vinegar bomb, and it's gonna be super delicious. That's gonna add a brightness to all those chilies and aromatics. So to this we're adding 3 cups of chicken broth. To the chicken broth, we're going to add 1 cup of whole milk, stir that to combine. We're going to bring this up to a simmer before we start adding our spices. So to this, we're going to add 1 teaspoon of smoked salt, 1 teaspoon of black pepper, 1 teaspoon of smoked paprika, and we're going to whisk to combine. Now we want to bring this back up to a boil before we start whisking in our grits. So slowly but surely we whisk in the grits, and this is going to take a little bit of effort. I mean, you get what you got here. You're going to be whisking this thing until it thickens, and it's probably going to be about 10 minutes or so, honestly, but you'll see it start to happen here shortly. Once it's nice and thickened, yep, just keep stirring. Stir until those forearms are screaming. You want those starches to release from those grits. Yeah, and it looks just like that right there. You're good. You are good. And those are good grits. So once the grits are done, we have 8 ounces of white cheddar cheese. Just be sure to fold that in until it completely incorporates. And then honestly, guys, that's it. The grits are done. Set it aside. It's time to plate. Is it time to plate? It's time to plate. So it's time to put it all together. Time to plate this bad boy. Well, so we're going to serve this family style, and this is how I do this. I like to do a layer of grits just right here on the bottom. We're going to make sure everyone's got a nice spoonful of that. We're going to slice our tenderloin. I'm slicing it about, I don't know, 1/8 of an inch thick right here. You know, I want you to be able to fork your way through it, but if you have to use a knife, you have to use a knife. So we're going to take those medallions and we're going to fan them out just right there on top. Now, man, look at the crust on that pork tenderloin. Damn, I'm hungry already. So we're going to take this pan sauce and we're just going to go right down the center with it. Make sure that pork tenderloin is good and coated with it. You know, that's going to provide a nice bitter undertone to this whole thing. And, you know, maybe you might recognize this sauce. We're going to hit it with a little bit of Kansas City barbecue sauce. We're going to go right around the outside edges of this. You want that to foil the bitterness. You're going to get that nice sweet depth of flavor coming off that sauce. And then I was a little overzealous with the quick pickles because, you know what? I love pickled products. So this Hungarian quick pickles, perfect for me. There it is. Time to eat.
So the pork tenderloin and grits have come out of the oven. Everything's all plated up. I plated it up family style for everybody. It is quite a bit, but you know what? So am I. So let's get into this sucker. I'm just gonna eat right off the family style plate. The pork is fork tender. The grits are luscious and swimming in that beautiful pan reduction and barbecue sauce. Make sure you get some of this Hungarian style quick pickle because those Hungarian peppers add that needed spice to the whole thing. The creaminess of the grits, the meatiness of the pork tenderloin, the brightness of that quick pickle, the slight bitterness in that Redeye style gravy, and then all rounds out with the sweet, smooth Kansas City style barbecue sauce. You get a little burst of heat right at the end. This is a fantastic bite, man. Going in for seconds. Make sure you get the sauce with it. That's my finale dish. That's my entree. Like and subscribe. This is Brian Thomas Lee, BT Lee Sauce and Rubs. Kicked off, but still cooking.